God bless all my brothers and sisters. It's another beautiful night to worship the Lord and the beauty of His holiness. Just give y'all this brief teaching that the Lord gave me to just help you guys understand and just see the reality of people's heart and understanding the heart of man. My title says, how many people obey government laws? Now you understand why many people don't want to obey God's commands or to become a Christian. I was on the phone earlier with Sarah and I was asking Sarah, I said, Sarah, why do people speed when they drive? Speeding is dangerous. It's a risk. You can cause injury or bodily harm. It goes against the laws, right? It can cause accidents because you're moving faster than the regulated speeds. So that's potential to cause accidents. People can't react fast enough. Why do you think they tell you when you drive, you're supposed to be so many car lengths behind another vehicle? Because that vehicle have to step on their brakes. Suddenly, if you're right on their bumper, you're going to crash into them. Risk injury or bodily harm or death from the person who hit their brakes to you running in the back of them. You might kill them or kill yourself, or you both might get killed, right? So these laws are put in place for a reason, to govern the earth, right? So people can live in peace and harmony, and people can do what is right to make the world a better place. But how many people obey laws? That's the question. That's the topic for discussion. How many people in this world? Let's just talk about America. America has over 300 million people. Over 300 million people. Out of that 300, 200 plus million identifies themselves as what is professed to be a Christian. What they say is a Christian. That leaves 100 plus million who don't identify themselves as being a Christian, nor claim to be a Christian, right? So 200 million is bigger than 100 million, right? So if there's 200 million people in this country that's claiming to be Christians, that means a lot of the cars that ride by speeding and not obeying the law, many are professing to be Christians. A lot of people that litter, many profess to be Christians. So let's just think about, let's step outside of laws for a second. And let's talk about like responsibilities, okay? Let's talk about how people don't pay their phone bills, or people pay, you know, take care of certain obligations, right? Let's talk about that. So you got people who are not responsible like that. You got people who don't take care of their bills, payments on time, right? People who don't pay things back as they said they would, right? So when you look at the world that we live in, or this country, I'm focusing on America. The world too, though, but let's just highlight America for a moment. Many Americans break the law. I have the statistics. According to the estimated various of sources, a significant portion of U.S. citizens break laws, with some claiming that as many as 70% of Americans have committed a crime that could lead to imprisonment. Do y'all hear that? 70%. Not 7% just breaking laws, but 70% have committed such crimes that will have caused them to be behind bars, that will ended them up in prison. It's a tongue twister. Ended them up in prison. 70%. Often without even realizing it. due to minor infractions like speeding, right? Due to minor infractions like speeding or littering. However, the exact number is difficult to pinpoint due to the vast array of laws and the fact that many minor offenses go unreported. Y'all hear that? So 70% of U.S. citizens, that means out of 300 million people, right? 70% of those 300 million have committed crimes that could have caused them to go to prison. Look on YouTube every day, guys. You see fights, road rage, kids fighting in high school, kids fighting in Christian schools, kids fighting in public schools. You're seeing women fighting. You're seeing people, flipping out in restaurants and fast food places. You see all type of stuff, shootings. You see drive-bys. You see so many things. You see so many crimes that are committed, whether it's assault, right? Whether it's disorderly conduct, whether it's murder, whether it's robbery, whether it's sexual harassment. There are so many laws that are broken daily that you can watch on YouTube. And a lot of the people that are committing these crimes on YouTube are not being caught. So just mind you, there are more people that are civilians and are not in law enforcement in America than there are people that are in law enforcement. What means that, statistically speaking, means that police can't police every corner of the U.S. They can't police every section, every neighborhood. They can't be at the same places every time that a crime commits. It's not enough of them. You follow me? So the ratio to police officers and to the U.S. citizens is a wide margin. That means that it's more people who are not in law enforcement and that break laws and do whatever than there are people that are in law enforcement that are trying to enforce the laws. So that means that's why when you call 911, they have to get there. They got to know the address, or they track you, or whatever the case may be. Ambulance, anything as well, right? So there's always a potential for people to get away with crime. And there's always a potential for crimes to happen because there's not enough police officers, law enforcement, to be everywhere at the same time. We don't have soldiers that are patrolling our streets, right? We don't have the National Guard that's patrolling our streets. You have police, law enforcement that patrol the streets. But how often is it that you see a police car in big cities that are 200, 300,000 something people? How often? How many cars do you see that are regular civilian cars that are driving? And how many times do you see a police car throughout the day? More than you see a regular citizen's car, a regular civilian car. What I mean is, I want you to count how many times you go outside, go by a highway, go by a regular road, go by a store, and you count how many cars you see that are police cars, and count how many cars you see that are regular civilian cars who are not in law enforcement. Then you will agree with me that there are more people who are not in law enforcement than those who are. So this is why people get away with crimes. This is why crimes happen. So many people break the law. I use one for this topic: speeding. Speeding. Many people are professing to be Christians in America. 200 million. And they speed. Many of them speed. Many of them break all type of laws. I mean, they break all type of laws, right? But they're in church faithfully on Sunday. Matter of fact, they're speeding to church on Sunday to get there. And they're speeding when they leave. They get angry when they're driving. They get angry when they're on their way to church. They get angry when they leave church. Road rage. Someone made them mad. Remember, false Christians don't have faith to turn the cheek, right? They have a reputation. They have an identity. They want to look a particular way. So this is the reason why many people don't want to be Christians, don't care about being Christians, and don't believe in God, and don't obey God's commands. If you can't obey laws that protect the world, protect this country, keep everything operating in order, if you can't see the benefit of not speeding, okay, not breaking these committing these crimes and breaking the law, if you can't see the potential, then how are you going to see the purpose? How are you going to understand the purpose of being a believer and doing what God's words say? When you are doing what you want because you can. So why would a person obey God's commands when they don't want to obey laws that govern our nation? Laws that make it safer for people. It's more intelligent. I asked Sarah that. I said, Sarah, why do people speed? She said they got to get where they got to go. That's true. But the main reason that people speed as well is because they can. Nobody's car is designed to go exactly the speed limit. Okay? They make these cars that can go 4 or 5 times over the speed limit, guys. Right? Fast cars. Some cars got 200 miles per hour on the dash. Think about the world you're living in, guys. That's how you know that God is in control and God made this world and set everything to be the way it is. Because why would they make vehicles that go so fast when you can't drive that fast legally on the street? Don't say, oh, I can go to the track. You're not taking no Lexus or no Lamborghini or Ferrari to a drag strip. You understand? So it doesn't make sense. We're not talking about no muscle car that you done put superchargers and got 1,000 horsepower, you know, that is pushing out. You're going to the track to drive it fast, right? So when you understand that people find pleasure in NASCAR, people find pleasure in racing, they find pleasure in seeing, you know, competitions. So the world likes adrenaline rushes. The world likes speed. People are buying them Hellcat Challengers and Chargers because of the 700 or 900 or 800 horsepower that those engines produce. Right? That's why they're buying them. Because they're powerful, they're fast. You can white smoke the tires, you can do donuts, you can do all that. You can hear the blower, the supercharger, you can hear it whine when it go by. Right? That's what they're buying it for. So just think about the world that we living in. Think about the things that are invented in this world, created in this world, that people made. Just think about it. Think about it. Think about a sex store. Think about most of these clothes, these clothing lines, these shoes. Just think about it. What on earth? Why would people have any dealings with God when they find pleasure in the things that won't allow them to be humble enough, obedient enough, compliant enough to serve God? They're buying cars that are meant to be driven fast. You're buying a fast car, but you're going to do the speed limit every day. That defeats the purpose. What's the point of having that vehicle? You're buying a motor. Have y'all ever seen a motorcycle do the speed limit? It look weird, doesn't it? It looks strange to see a motorcycle just side by side with a car. Is that normal to see? Or do you always see a motorcycle or weaving through traffic, right? It's strange to see it. You even see police officers that speed. Everybody be on the interstate doing 55, 60, 65, or 70. And here you go with a cop with no lights on, just flying right past you, driving extremely fast. They'll pull you over for speeding, but then they speed themselves. Y'all see my point? So this is the world that we live in. People can't even drive the speed limit, obeying the laws. So that goes to show you that many people break the law. They break many laws because it benefits them, because they can do it. Right? So if you have that nature or that personality to behave that way as a citizen, of the U.S. How would you be able to obey God's word when you don't obey things that are set by the governing powers, by the government? How do you be faithful? How are you a cheater, but then you're faithful to your wife? How are you a person who fights and is violent, but then gentle, right, to your children? Come on. How are you a gang member, and then you're the best father to your children? What makes him a good father? When he's killing people, hurting people, beating people up, making diss songs about them, but he buy kids gifts. When have gifts ever got you into heaven? When have gifts ever raised you to be righteous and to be holy? When have material riches ever caused a person, right, to learn what is right and what is wrong? You have many kids that grow up with silver spoons in their mouth and they'll kill their parents. You have many kids who grew up whose parents are celebrities and they'll commit suicide. These are facts. These are facts. So the world has their own grading sheet. Remember when you was in school, you take a test or you got a homework assignment, you turn it in. The teacher has a grading sheet to determine what's your grade, right? How many you miss, how many questions you miss, how many you got right. That's the world for you. The world determines who's a good person, who's a bad person. Why you think some voted for Trump and some didn't vote for Trump? Think about it. So the world is divided on what they believe. Nobody is voting to have righteousness in the White House. Nobody is voting to have Christ being the head, right, of our nation. They're voting for what they stand for, their principles, what they believe, what they can relate to. This is why you got politics, Republicans, Democrats. So all I'm saying is this, guys. You see how people speed, drive fast. I'm talking about every day. I want you next time you get out and you in your vehicle, I want you to do the speed limit for a whole day. See how you find yourself going a little bit over the speed limit. Not because you're just in a rush, but because you can. Y'all don't understand that everybody is not speeding because they just have to be somewhere at a particular time. And they're just driving so fast to get there. People speed because they don't like being told what to do. People drive these vehicles because they need them to go from A to B, to go from there to here, right? To go from north to south and east to west. They need their vehicles. So they have to have a car. The world is too big. The country's too big. But as far as them obeying the laws, that's what they don't want to do. I'm telling you, you got people who will get married and will cheat. They will make it up in their mind that it's okay to do so because they're not getting the attention that they feel they deserve. They're not being sexually pleased like they feel they should. But they don't tell that person, hey, I'm about to go cheat on you, because they don't want to be deterred from going to cheat. Why don't people ever say, I'm about to go rob a bank? I'm about to go kill this person. I'm about to go. Why? Because they don't want you to stop them. They don't want to be talked out of what they desire to do and what they find pleasure to do. Come on now. People are rebellious, disobedient. They love to do what they want to do. Man does not control this world. Man did not make this world. God controls this world, and God made this world. The heavens do rule. Okay? So, people are here just fulfilling their positions and playing their role. If you can't obey these laws, if you can't be in compliance, if you can't live at peace amongst your loud neighbors, if you have hate in your heart, racism, any of those things, you cannot be a believer of God, because all those things have to be destroyed. Ephesians 5:2 says this: Wherein in time past ye walked according, this means before you became a believer, you walked according to the course of this world. See, told y'all guys, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Told you. This is why they don't obey. This is why they don't listen to what the word. This is why many people break the law. Why many people don't want to get along. Why many people are racist. Right? Even if people have stronger self-control and greater discipline than others, they still are going to sin in some area because they have to. Because the ways of God is rejected. The knowledge of God is frowned and shunned upon. Looked at in the bad light. So they're going to have hate. They're going to have gossip. You can have family-oriented people where they have kickbacks, gatherings every day. But they'll still gossip about you. They'll still crack jokes on you when you get over there. Man, look at Uncle John. He drunk as a skunk. Man, look at Auntie Michelle. She knows she wrong for wearing that lipstick. Right? You see what I'm saying? Oh, you need some makeup on. Right? This is what I'm showing you. One time, it was told to me, right? Somebody went somewhere at a family gathering and somebody recommended them to put on makeup. Y'all see my point? So when you understand the standard that God has set for us, and you understand the words that he has given us to abide by, you'll understand that people are not as good as you think they are. They are not righteous like you think they are. They're not lovable. They're not kind. They're not any of those things like you think. You just don't know that because you don't know what the word says. That's what I was telling Sarah and Courtney today. I'm like, our parents really failed us at raising us because we was raised the way the world was raised, and we could have been dealt anything, right? Any death blow that the world could have gave us. We out there fornicating, could have got AIDS. You know what I'm saying? I've been shot 13 times. Just think about it. Ask yourself. Sarah said, yes, that was me. That was my aunt. About the makeup stuff. Ask yourself. A lot of things that we were taught and how we was raised was not of God. When you learn about God, you'll really see that your parents were your parents. Right? Respect them, honor them, love them. But that's it. They can't pour into you. They can't give you anything. They can't teach you anything. Because you done seen too many flaws, too much unrighteousness. Just like people that's strangers. Our parents are no different than people in the world that are strangers who do foolish things. You can't put your parents on a pedestal, right? As if they're scribes and scholars and they're so intelligent. I remember people have told me that their parents will look on the internet and be moved to eat a whole bunch of eggs and say it's healthy. Then read on the internet again where they say the eggs isn't good for you. Or drinking a teaspoon of oil and then don't do it again. It's like, oh, it's not good for you. You see what I'm saying? Tossed and thrown by every wind of doctrine. Okay, let me get back to it. Among whom also we all had our conversations in time past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. See? See? So us Christians are not supposed to be the same as the non-believers. You can't hide behind Christianity. You can't hide behind, I go to church on Sunday, I pay my tithes and offerings. I wear a suit, I wear a tie, I wear a dress. I talk about God on Instagram. I talk about God on Facebook. I talk about God on YouTube. I got Bible verses all through my pictures on Facebook. That don't mean nothing. Many non-believers talk about energy, horoscopes, right? Zodiac signs. They talk about you know, good omens and good aura and bad aura. You got people that call themselves good witches that do Wicca and different stuff like that. You got black magic, you got white magic, as people say. Think about it. You got love spells and bad spells and evil spells. So people all try to, right, portray that they're not as wicked or evil as they truly are. Even tapping into the spiritual realm. Messing with spells and Ouija boards and all type of stuff. Right? Think about what I'm saying. So just because a person is posting verses or talking about God, you got many people who are non-believers. You got people that talk about Allah and will kill you overseas. You got people that talk about Allah and will blow you away. You got people that claim to be Muslims, women that will dress. I seen a video of about 4 Muslim women overseas fighting on the street. Y'all not trying to hear me. Look it up. Now these women are portraying to be what? By covering their bodies up. Seeming as if they're righteous and, right? You know, not showing off their body. Only for their husbands, but for nobody else. Right? All forms of godliness, but denying the power of. To portray on the outside. These 4 women were fighting like cats and dogs in the street, and one had a baby. Look for the video. One had a baby, and the baby kept dropping and falling to the ground out the woman's arm because the other Muslim lady was beating her. I'm not just saying that's all Muslim people. I'm just telling you that even in Christianity and Buddhism, you see all that stuff in China. People assassinate people. You see crimes and you see unrighteousness all over the globe. In all these different countries, continents, nations, all claim to be part of some type of false religion, and they still act like those who don't have no religion. Are y'all following me now? You notice the apostle is saying, we used to be like this. So if he's saying we used to, there's no way where you can do this today and you have an encouraging Bible verse that's going to support your life of sin. If the brother is saying we did this in our past life, we don't do this no more. So when you do commit those sins, you don't have no verse in the New Testament that's going to give you encouragement when you commit a sin. You don't. Because you're supposed to be law abiding. The same way the government ain't sitting here, got police officers outside your house to monitor. Hey, today, are you going to shoot somebody? Hey, today, are you going to commit a crime? Hey, today, are you going to rob somebody? You don't see that. You don't have the FBI just calling your phone. Hey, Joe, I want to, Bobby, Susie, I want to know, do you feel like hurting anybody today? Because if so, we want to arrest you and take you to jail. We want to prevent these crimes. No, they hope that you're going to be law abiding because you have the choice to do so. Prison is told to you. Jail is told to you. Right? People go to death row. People get killed sometime by police officers, getting in shootouts and resisting arrest, different things like that. So there's a fear of these things. So they're hoping that you understand that, hey, if you break the law, you're going to lose your freedom. And when you lose your freedom, these are some of the things that will happen to you. And these are some of the places that you will go. You see my point? So it's supposed to put fear of punishment and repercussions. This is why you see people go to prison. You see people get locked up. You see people go to jail. They talk about it on the news to let you know that you can't just handle anybody the way that you want to. You can't just mistreat anybody. There are consequences and repercussions if you do so. Come on now. So the same way the government expects you to do what's right, because there's benefits for doing right. You get freedom. You get able to live where you want, do what you want, eat where you want. You're not a criminal. You haven't committed a crime. You haven't broken the law. There's no reason. You have constitutional rights that protects you. That's what they expect. So if the Bible say, if those people that are evil could do good things, what about your Heavenly Father? So if man can understand that you can do what's right, you have the ability to do what's right. You have the power to do what's right. Right? You have power over your own will. Even Paul wrote that and said that. How can unbelieving, wicked, evil people understand that you can do what's right? You don't live in a country where police are guarding your door, making sure you don't come outside with a gun and shoot people. They don't do that because they know that the conscience understands right from wrong. So why do non-believers understand that you can do what's right? You could be law-abiding and never go to prison. You could be a person who never went to jail. So if man understands that, why you think that God doesn't understand that? You think that God doesn't know that you can't obey his word? The same effort to be law-abiding, you got to put forth that same effort. You have the same ability to be a believer of God and obeying all his commands. That's a fact. Because it's a sin to kill somebody, right? If you kill somebody as a U.S. citizen, what happens? The Bible says you're not supposed to steal. You're not supposed to lie. What if you steal and lie in our country? What happens, guys? Come on now. So there's sins. So if you're not doing these things, you can say, hey, I don't commit these sins. I haven't robbed nobody. I haven't lied. I haven't committed a murder. I haven't committed adultery. Look at you. You haven't committed all these sins. But people say you can't be perfect. But you got a perfect track record of not committing adultery. You got a perfect track record of not murdering nobody. You got a perfect track record of not robbing anybody. So come on, let's keep adding some more to the list. Then you can understand what it means to be a true believer now. But people find pleasure in anger. And anger leads to them hurting people. Anger leads to them losing control for that moment. Anger leads to them listening to the voice of the devil to react and respond and retaliate. A lack of forgiveness leaves way for bitterness and resentment to grow, right? To where you feel that the people should feel the way you feel for mistreating you. You see my point? See? Luke 6:46. And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? You can't say you sin sometime, guys. You can't say not where you need to be, not where we used to be. You don't listen to the Lord. Let somebody say, why say you're a law-abiding citizen, but you break the law? Come on now. What would a judge say if you went in front of a judge and you say, Judge, you know, I'm not what I need to be, I'm not what I used to be. They're going to say, well, we're going to put you on probation to help get you there then. Because you can't be true trusted because you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You 1 minute you're being a law-abiding citizen, and next minute you're ready to steal somebody's purse. So what the judge going to say? Hey, maybe we should just put you on a house arrest, an ankle monitor, GPS tracking device. Maybe we should just put you on probation, do urinary do regular urine screens, because you know you're iffy, you're questionable. Okay. Every time a false Christian sin and they claim to be a Christian, they make God look bad. Because the world is seeing, you got to think you're going to always commit multiple different type of sins when you live in sin. You're not going to just say, oh, I'm angry today. You're going to be lazy. You're going to be prideful because sin is sin. Once that you're in the flesh, you got to feed the flesh. You don't just eat burgers every day. You don't just eat pizza every day. You eat a variety of different foods that you crave, that you might want, that you might need. You drink water. You eat vegetables. You eat fruit. Your body needs those things. Nutrition. Sin is not going to be content with just cursing. Flesh is not going to be just content with curse words. The flesh is not going to be content with just this iPhone 15. Gotta get that 16 when it come out. The flesh is never satisfied. It's like a volcano that's ready to erupt, right? It's like thin ice. Okay? It's like whitewater rapids. This is what the flesh is. It's never content because it's unstable behavior. It's unstable way of thinking or stable way of functioning. That's what the flesh is. This is why you see people are always doing something. People don't just commit one sin in a day. If you was angry today, you're going to be frustrated too. If you was annoyed, you know, you're going to be full of pride. You're going to say, man, they just need to know how to treat me. They know how to. You're not going to just be, oh, I just was angry today. That's the only thing I did. That's not true. You committed multiple sins. Whether you're educated enough to know those sins, that's a different story. Ephesians 3 and 5. This is the last one. I'm out of here, guys. Ephesians 3 and 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. I told y'all. Why do you think so many people be claiming to have all these problems? Cancers and diseases and being attacked by spirits. A lot of these false Christians, because they are mocking God and living in sin. I had a cousin tell me before, my cousin in New Jersey, her name is Shanice. She told me before, she said, I never had a dream where I was like being held down or like sleep paralysis. But most every false Christian I met has been attacked in their dreams, held down, sex in their dreams, seeing crazy things. But you got non-believers who haven't experienced none of those things. Think about it. Think about it. Why is it so many people that claim to be Christians get attacked by spirits? But you got ones in the world who don't even know about getting attacked by those spirits. Held down, you know, seeing this and seeing that. You don't even see that. Because the ones who are playing to be Christians, it's a dangerous game they playing. Because it's mockery. Okay? In the which ye also walked sometime when you lived in them. But now ye are also put off these things. Put off these. Anger. Let me read that again a little bit more slower. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. So why do false Christians talk about going through this and going through that? Where Paul's saying this used to happen, not no more, because you're born again. Watch, guys. But they always talk about going through this and going through that. We are only, as a Christian, we're only going to face persecution. When they talk about suffering, we're suffering because we're here on this world and we got to stay here and endure all this unrighteousness, or all this hate, endure all this mockery, and endure all this darkness that's around us. We don't belong here. So this is why we're suffering. We're not happy here. Paul said that he was torn between two desires. He wanted to go be with the Lord, which is far better. Come on, guys. Ain't that what he said? He wasn't complaining about the world, spirits and demons, and he wasn't saying that stuff. Listen what he said. He said false brethren. He said paralysis of the sea. You know, he said done wrong by my own countrymen. He named what people was doing to him because of the gospel's sake. That's what it said. It said you're going to be hated for my name. So you're not just going to be hated for being a human being. The hate comes from the darkness that's in people because you belong to Jesus. You see? So we don't suffer like a sick person or someone that's depressed. Paul said not distress and not despair. Come on now. And Jesus say, my peace I give you. So how did the Lord say way before Paul became a Christian? Jesus said, I give you peace, not as the world gives you. Then Paul tells you later on, becoming a Christian, one who was persecuting the church of God and was fighting against Christ. Even Christ said, Saul, why persecute thou me? Right? Paul said in his letter, this is years later after the Lord said he'll give us peace, those who are truly born again. Paul said not distress, not despair. Paul never talked about being depressed, right? Being angry, being lazy, being lustful. He never talked about those things. Because Christ promised that those who are in him, that his spirit is in, those that he with, he said, I'll be with them to the end of what? Then he said, I give you my peace that the world can't give you. He said, peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not just giving you peace, but my peace. You see that? Let not your heart be troubled. See? So Paul became a Christian years and years later when the Lord spoke, after the Lord spoke that. And his lifestyle was a spitting image of reflection of the Lord's words. Because Paul went through all that stuff and the brother got stoned. And the Bible said that the disciples stood around him and God rose him up. And that brother went many miles to go preach to the church in Galatia. They mentioned Lystra, debris. See? So Paul wrote, not distress and not despair. Then he said, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. But everybody else is praying, pray for me. I'm going through this rough time now, guys. See? You practice Christianity as a hobby. You only believe in it as a superstition, a good luck charm, a rabbit's foot, in which you also walked sometime when you lived in them. But now you also put off these anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of him that created him. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Put on therefore as the elect of God, chosen, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbear one another and forgive one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatsoever you do, in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands, unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives, and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service as man pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men. Knowing that our Lord, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. But he that does wrong shall receive for the wrong which he has done, and there is no respect to persons. I told y'all. See, he's talking to Christians. So who are you talking to? He ain't say the Gentiles, non-believers going to receive wrong. That's how the false Christian want y'all to believe it and read it. He's talking to believers. The Bible was not written for non-believers. Doesn't the Bible say that the Gentiles be not God? Don't the Bible say preaching the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing? He's talking to believers. These are believers that heard everything he just said, guys. What unbelievers sit around and say? He didn't say the Gentiles are going to be punished. He didn't say non-believers. He says, but he that does wrong shall receive for the wrong which he has done. And there is no respect to person. That goes to show you, whether you claim to be a Christian, whether you claim to be apostle, prophet, pastor, preacher, you don't get no pass. You understand? God is no respect of persons. You see? That's the reality, brothers and sisters. You see what I'm saying? So that's why many don't want to be believers. Look what all I just read. They don't want to do that because they agree too much with darkness. They feel you should get punched in your face. They feel they should be able to carry guns. They feel that you should get an old, schoolhouse butt whipping, as they say. They feel that people should get repaid for what they do to people. Come on now. You got people that have went and seen people on death row get the electric chair, lethal injection. They got witnesses that people, family members that was the victim, the people that are family members of the victim, they'll sit there and watch somebody's execution. They want people to pay for what they done. Think about it. So the world that we live in, what I just read to you guys, it's hard, people. Being a Christian is not for everybody. It's only for a few people. That's why the true believers are going to stand against what's taking place in the world. And they're going to do everything in righteousness and holiness. Many people don't want to do that because you don't have to do it. See, a lot of things people do because they have to do. Let me leave y'all with this to break it down a little bit further. Nobody that's living on this earth asked to come into this earth. People was born because our parents fornicated or made love. And then we are the results of their lovemaking or fornication. We're here. So God had gave us his word to make our life be better on his earth. To make us have peace on his earth. To make us have love on his earth. To make us do what's right and to live righteous on his earth. To have understanding on his earth. But if we choose to do that, it provokes you to anger, frustration, confusion, rage, because you don't understand why the world is such an evil and wicked place. Because you don't believe in the word of God. You don't read the Bible. You don't read where it says that the Gentiles, unbelievers do this and they do that. You don't read where it talks about spirits. You don't know that it says our wrestle not against flesh and blood. You don't know that Satan is like a roaring lion. You don't know that Satan was once in their glory. So you don't think that what you see today, you don't have knowledge on why there's rapings and robbings and murders and racism and hate, because you fail to read the word, believe the word, and listen to what God is saying, right? That explains everything. Prophecies, revelations, and wisdom that's in the Bible. And then people fail to believe in God and obey God because they find more pleasure in sin. And sin makes you to be foolish. Tell me why people text and drive, guys. Tell me why they do those things. Why they do things that's not smart. Why they drink liquor and smoke cigarettes and do all this stuff that's destroying their body. Because they didn't ask to be here. So they're just coping with their life on this earth. And they're forced to be here. God brought them here, right? They're forced to be here. Can't kill themselves. Can't die before their time. So they use all these different things, whether it's TV, social media, drugs, alcohol, right? Lust, fornication, overeating. It's all designed to fill that void because God is not there. People are angry in this world, upset. People want to have more money. People want kids. People don't want kids no more. People are married and miserable. People want to get married, but they can't stop meeting people who cheats on them and take advantage of them and don't want them to be their wife, but only to fornicate. They're miserable. They can't understand it. People do not want to become a righteous nation, become citizens of heaven, Christians, where it'll naturally make everything to work in order and to function properly. Because we're taught to love, not judge, not have this worldly standard, not have these worldly lusts, live above our means, have all these goals and plans and desires. But we'll do as God say, will make us live at peace and in harmony, and everything will function. People will run to marry. People will run to have kids. People will run to give you food, open the door for you. Person go ask you go 1 mile, you'll be running to go with them 2 miles. But they don't want to do that. That's why the world is the way it is. Love you all. God